Meteorologist Jason Nappy tracking extreme weather in the Gulf Coast right now, and the radar is lying to you. This is not freezing rain or sleet. This is not an ice storm. Unfortunately, it's not. Ice is worse than snow, although snow in a place like the Gulf Coast is still pretty significant. But the radar here, the algorithm, is having a tough time catching up with this storm. It is cold from top to bottom. The cold air is pouring down from the north here. So this is actually all blue. This is all snow, all the way down south of Lafayette into New Iberia, Lake Arthur, Lake Charles, and eventually into New Orleans. Right now, the cold air is winning the battle here. So this is a full-on all snowstorm situation that is happening right now in the Gulf Coast. And it's going to continue into the next several hours. Let's take a look at it now. Here, the National Weather Service has its first Gulf Coast blizzard warning up, and that is for Louisiana, southwest Louisiana, and right there just outside of Houston by a few miles. This winter storm goes all the way from southeast Texas along the Gulf Coast up into the southeast, into North Carolina, and even just a portion there of Virginia. And this includes the Florida Panhandle heading up towards Jacksonville. So this is a winter storm warning. This right here is the blizzard warning that right now is for Louisiana for the most part, as this storm is going to move east the next several hours. Here's how the confirmation ground truth why it's snow and it's not freezing rain, it's not ice. I'll get into the science in a second, but really look at the reports here. These are hourly reports coming from the National Weather Service here, and you can clearly see light snow, heavy snow, Lafayette, heavy snow, 26 degrees, the dew point 23, the measure of moisture in the atmosphere. And look at the wind north, gusting to almost 30. So we're really close to blizzard criteria here, gusting to 33 in Patterson, visibility a quarter mile right there. That's in Lafayette. That's where the heaviest band is coming through right now. So there's your ground truth that this is a bona fide snowstorm. As far as a blizzard, well, we can debate that. But here is the model sounding. So you take a look at the atmosphere and show what's going on. You kind of peel back the layers. And I want to show you this. So right here is your 0 degree, your freezing line, 0 degrees Celsius, going all the way up in the sky. And the warm air, not happening, right? It is not. The warm nose is not penetrating. So you've got cold air from top to bottom. And a temperature right now at the ground of 25. You go up in the sky here, you've got a good DGZ, so you're growing those snowflakes. But there it is. This is outside of Lafayette, where you have got 100% snow. This is a forecast model sounding, okay, from this morning, but it shows you this is all snow that's happening right now in Louisiana, not ice. So the National Weather Service has 6 to 8 inches, and then they're saying here easily could get up around 10 inches, and I believe it with these snowfall rates coming down 1, 2, 3 inches an hour, and it's going to blow around. Here's one thing I want to point out that you don't really notice if you're watching this from New England or up in the Northeast, is that the roofs that we have up here, they're basically tilted so we can get rid of snow, right? In the South, it doesn't snow very often. They're flat. So there's going to cause major problems. You're going to have failure of flat roofs down in the South because they're not built for stuff like this. And obviously you've got all the issue going on down there with trying to do snow removal. Look at the modeling for this storm here. Now I want to show you this as it's going to track along the Gulf Coast. And it's going to start off as freezing rain in a place like Tallahassee. See that here? Right now that's what the model is saying. But if this trend continues here with snow, New Orleans, back towards Pensacola, I got news for you in Tallahassee. If this continues to be a colder storm to the west and the storm track is a little bit farther south in the Gulf of Mexico or Gulf of America, whatever we're calling it these days, I can tell you that you got to watch out in Tallahassee for more snow than is predicted if the atmosphere is colder top to bottom. So look at the forecast here and National Weather Service out of Mobile down towards Gulf Shores, Pensacola, 2 to 4. But this could be a 4 to 6 situation if you get less mixing and you get obviously more in the way of cold top to bottom. So watch out Tallahassee as we get and things push east here. So the National Weather Service out near Tallahassee is showing that they're concerned about ice but if you take the ice out of the equation or you limit it, right, you're going to get more snow. So more of a 3 to 4 inches in around Tallahassee instead of a quarter inch of ice. And obviously you want more snow, even though it's a place that doesn't snow very often or really almost ever. But the definition here, or the evolution of this warm air aloft, will cut down the snow total significantly, or it could lead to certainly more snow. So look at the high resolution stuff here, one of the models here, showing some of that warm air trying to penetrate right where you got that. Once again, there's that zero line. But notice here, you've got a little warm nose right around 900 millibars, another warm nose here. Now this warm nose around very shallow, around 850, that would be enough to kind of mix things a bit and change those snowflakes, melt them a little bit, make some sleet. But 34 at the ground, and it can snow with a ground temperature of 34. I also want to point that out. Even though the ground temperature is 34, you've got the snowflakes bringing that cold air down and cooling the ground. It's called evaporative cooling in the atmosphere. And yes, that is going to happen in a place like Tallahassee. There will be snowfall accumulation. This is not just going to be snow falling from the sky, which in itself in the South is still a pretty big deal. So here's a look at the actual snow live right now in Louisiana. And that looks like a blizzard. The wind is 20, 30 miles an hour that we talked about. And yeah, that's a good, solid snowstorm happening right now. Here's snow outside in Houston. Check out this snowstorm that's happening here. Look at all these snowflakes coming down. I mean, this snowfall accumulation, it looks like, borderline the apocalypse down in Houston. I'm partially kidding, but that is a lot of snow in a place that doesn't normally see it. Now, I want to talk about the science a little bit. Here's your low down here in the Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of America, whatever, and that is tracking to the east here. If this low was a little bit farther north, you do not have a snowstorm all the way down to the Gulf Coast. But because it is down right now, almost the center of the Gulf, I mean, it's pretty far south, the cold air is being pulled down from the north. You got a big high up here in the north, and behind this cold front is really cold air. So this cold air continues to drain down. And whether or not Tallahassee, the Florida Panhandle, back towards Mobile, is going to depend on these temperatures, but and more importantly, not the ground temperature. It's going to depend on what's going on in the upper layers of the atmosphere, whether or not you get that warm nose to push in. So here's your low. There's your track of the storm as it's going to push to the east. And as it does so, rides along a little Gulf low. As it rides here in the Gulf of Mexico and interacts with that cold air, you're going to have a bona fide snowstorm in the Florida Panhandle. And here it is from WPC. You see that snow pushing down into the southeast, and there it is. This is a snowstorm, and hopefully not too much ice here, but this is all cold air draining down from high pressure well to the north. So all the way up into North Carolina, you're going to have a snowstorm from this in the next several hours, and this goes right here. I'll show you. This goes into tonight, into the overnight, and then it's gone Wednesday morning by the time you wake up. No, it's not going to snow in South Florida, or it's not going to snow in Orlando. Not quite cold enough there, but it's going to be a pretty close call. Jacksonville, all the way back to the Panhandle and Tallahassee. Here's the forecast snowfall amounts. And take a look at this. I mean, look at this snow. You just never see this. Snow all the way down to the Gulf Coast, right? All the way down to New Orleans, all the way down to the parishes. This is when parishes, not counties in Louisiana. And also continuing the Florida Panhandle, where 2 to 4 from the Weather Service, but you get more cold air top to bottom, and you're going to have more snow. And then up here towards North Carolina, this is where the snow gets really heavy again out on the Cape. So watch out for heavy snow in North Carolina as we get into the overnight. And one big key for the storm is it's happening in the overnight for a place like the Georgia-Carolina situation, because you need it to be this time of the year. Even with this cold air pouring in, it helps if you want snowstorm. It helps for it to be in the overnight when you lose that sun angle. So here's the cold air, a piece of the polar vortex, Siberian Express coming down, just pouring in right as this low is riding up along this boundary here. So you got really the perfect setup for a very rare historic snowstorm happening. And then into the forecast here, the next several hours, watch that storm ride along the boundary and then it's gone. You're going to get some snow in the Great Lakes, and then it's all quiet for the most part. After this, we get a real quiet period. A little ridge wants to set up across the East Coast a bit, so things are going to quiet down. So I thank you for watching Jason Nappy Weather. I appreciate you being here. Make sure you're following along, and for the latest updates, I will talk to you soon.